everyone. I'm Monique with Open Gate Quilts, and I'm going to show you why and how why labels are so important and how to make your labels. So I'll give you a little bit of information there. I will have to say that I don't always put a label on my quilt, and I should start doing that because it's really important in the history of your quilts to remember the dates, who they're given to, all that good stuff. But I'll go through that a little later. But the first thing I want to talk about is thank you for watching tonight. And we are going to be doing a giveaway. And what do we always want you guys to do? We want you to share, say hi, and follow us. So make sure you do all that. And don't forget to say hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
We're so glad you guys are here tonight. I am so excited because right after this I am going on a girls quilting retreat. So I'm doing this and then immediately running out to go see my girlfriends, and if they're watching, hi everybody, I'll be there soon. Another couple of shout outs. Lisa, my sister-in-law, fell and broke her knee, which is horrible. So get better, Lisa. We hope you feel better. And I hope you get home safely because they're traveling back home. And also, if Liz is watching, say hi. Hi, Liz. Did she answer?
We got a comment again.
Who said that?
Joy Battencourt.
So that I'm going on retreat, or again that
Lisa fell. I was thinking
no, it's because I'm going on retreat. Yes, I know. That's what Mark says. Again, you're going again. Yep, I'm going again. It's a great way for me to get a lot done, though. We basically sew, eat, and laugh, and have an awesome time. So the only thing is, I wish Mark and the dogs could be there, but I don't know that the girls would be so happy with that. Maybe Tilly, but because she's a girl. So anyway, that's what the plan is as soon as we're done. But I wanted to go over a couple things. First of all, I just wanted to show you fruit slices. This has been one of my best sellers that I designed for Craftsy, now my blueprint, and they still have kits, and they're still selling the kits and the pattern. And I have seen this on a couple of places on Facebook that people have been making this quilt, and I just love it. I just think that it's so fun to see other people making it, and it's actually a really easy quilt to do because it's basically your blocks are here.
Oh, I get up in there.
Yeah, can you see it? Here's my blocks, and the sashing is what gives you that colors from light to dark, and the blocks are all the same. All you do is just rotate them, so you don't even have to do a left and a right block. You just have to do one block and make a whole bunch of them. And I did all the hard work doing the colors from light to dark, so it's all written out for you. And then I did the piano key border on the outside. So this is on sale at My Blueprint. You can get this if you look under my name, Monique Jacobs. You'll be able to find it.
You're right. You gotta go in the shop section.
The shop section, yes. So that'll be there, and I have other quilts on there as well. So check those out. But this has been a great quilt. The dogs are deciding that they want to play tonight for some reason because we're on camera. So that's kind of blending in with all the stuff. Right? Are you being a good boy? He's like, no, you're leaving. I can tell. Okay, so we always try and do a giveaway every Thursday night. So the giveaway this week is going to be this quilt here. Not the actual quilt, the pattern. It's a PDF pattern, and it's called Indian Summer. This is actually one of my first quilts that I designed. I have redone it in different colors, but this is the original color, and that's why it's called Indian Summer, because of the colors. Now, I wanted to show you this too.
The giveaway is the pattern to this?
Yes. The pattern.
So we're going to make it difficult for people tonight.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
We're making it difficult. Apparently.
We're going to make it difficult. So not only you got to share it, but you got to share it to your favorite quilting page or another page. We want to get as many people as possible watching this great program.
Yeah, definitely.
So, because without people watching and not really worth doing it.
That's right.
So we want
Yeah,
more
so
and more people to watch.
And to comment and to keep going. I've got a lot of things coming up that I'm excited about. Can't mention them yet, but I do have quite a bit. Whoops! Don't trip here. Coming up that I want to tell everybody about. So please keep watching, and thank you for everybody who is watching every Thursday or later. We really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. So to win that bad boy, the pattern, you gotta like us, you gotta share, but you gotta share to your favorite page, and tell all your friends about it. Invite them to like our page.
Tell them to like a page. Look at the giveaways we give away, and all the fun things that are going on, all the news things that are happening. So we're a lot of things are going on. I'm sure we'll have another quilt along coming up in the next few months. We have some other things that are coming up that I can't tell you now, but it'll be up soon. So
huge news. It's huge.
So just make sure that you watch. So, okay, labels. Let's talk a little bit about labels. One of the things that I try to do, I don't always label my own quilts, especially the ones that I have for patterns. And even though I should, and I should really start doing it, is when you're giving a quilt away, that's probably the most important thing to do when you're giving a quilt away. And why is that? Because when you give a quilt, it is your heart, soul, work. You love it, and it's a gift from the heart. So you want people in the future, and for that person to know who made it, why they made it, when they made it, all that information. So the important things for you to do when you are doing a label, there's 5 things that you need to include on there. First of all, you need to include who it's to. And you want to put their name. You could put my grandson, blah, 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 but don't just put my grandson, because nobody knows who that is besides you and your immediate family. So, and if the quilt gets to go somewhere far away, or they leave it somewhere, then they know who that belongs to. So that's why you want to make sure that you put the name of the recipient. Another thing that you want to put is who it's made by. And when I do a quilt, like a baby quilt or a quilt to someone, I always put made with love by, and put my name down. And the reason I do that is I want them to know that it is a labor of love. You love quilting, you love giving it to someone. So you want to make sure that you do that. So that's another thing you want to put. It's not bragging, it's telling them how much you love doing this for them.
I think the business of heirlooms have really kind of gone down. I've seen less and less heirlooms being passed down to one another. And I think it's pretty important that
it is important.
You should put your name on there.
Yeah, I think it's really important. It's really important not only for you, because you've made it, but for that person to know who's made it. Because who knows, that quilt might be here 100 years from now. And if it's your grandson, he might be a grandpa by then. And it'll be like, this was made by my grandma, given to you. So then, because quilts will last a long time, and quilts are, of course, the dogs have to put their 2 cents in. Zed's agreeing with me. So make sure that that's something that you put in. Another important part is put the occasion that it's made for. So at the birth of, or the graduation, or the wedding, all that kind of thing, whatever the occasion is. If it's not an occasion, just put, because I love you, or because, whatever reason that you want to put down. But, or you don't have to if it's just for the whatever. So that's another thing you want to put in. Mark's giggling because the dogs are making noise. He's like, we should have left them upstairs. Yeah, probably. Oh, well, too late now. The 4th thing, I think I got my first 3. The 4th thing is you want to put the date. And I looked this up because I wasn't sure if it's the date you started it, the date you worked on it, the date you finished it. And what it said, my friend Google said, was the date it was finished. So if you finish it in 2018, that's what you would put down. And I sometimes put the month in. Not necessarily. You can put just the year. That again is so when 20, 30 years down the line, you can say, oh, I got this quilt from whoever, and they made it in 2019. And
see,
then,
if I were ever to make a quilt, mine would say TBD.
ladies, this is what I live with. Well, he's going to be making a quilt one of these days. I will get him too. So that is the fourth thing. So make sure you do the date. Another thing that you want to make sure that you put on is you want to put the place it was made. Why is that? Reason is that when you make a quilt, you may be in Rockford, Illinois, where we are, but that quilt might go to someone in Canada. I made a quilt for my parents to give to a friend that lives in France. So it was made in Rockford, came from Canada, and went all the way to France. So it's kind of cool to see the progression of where that quilt went, and so that person can look at it and say, oh, how cool. They've got the recipient on it, they've got who gave it to them, who made it. And that's another thing. If you make it for someone to give away, make sure you put all that information down. So it has a record of your quilt. Basically, you're making a record of your quilt so that if someone looks at it in the future, they can always know where it's made, what it is. Sometimes for my particular patterns, I will put the name of the quilt. And that's something that would be if you're making your own quilts and you put labels on them. Because many times I will look at a quilt and I'll think, what is the name of that pattern? If you have it on label, all you have to do is look on the back and away you go, you've got it. So that's another piece of information you can include in the label. So there's a lot of information. Just those 5 things are super important. If you want to add more, do whatever you want. Now, let's figure out how do we make a label. That's the next thing. There's many ways to make a label. One of the ways that a lot of people have been doing recently is they will print them off on their computer. They'll use ink that is, or fabric that is, the ink will stay on. And you can print it right off. You can design it on the computer. You can write it off. If you have terrible writing and you don't want to do your writing, do it that way. Other people will use their embroidery machines, because some people have these awesome embroidery machines that they can put whatever they want. They will embroider on it and do that. So you could do that.
We have a question here, actually.
Oh, okay. Question.
The fabric lines change, so if you take 5 years to complete it, should you put both the start and end dates on that?
When I read it, it said you need just the end date. Now, you can put really whatever you want. You could put started in 2014, finished in 2019, or if it takes a year to quilt it, because sometimes when you're hand quilting it takes that long, you can put that hand quilted in 2019, made in 2018, so they know the progression. So it's really up to you. The important thing is to have some kind of date on there. When you started it, when you finished it, whatever it is, just so that in the future people know when this was made. And that makes sense about the fabric, why, the fabrics change. And so if you want to date fabric, definitely, or if you think someone in the future might want to date the fabric, you can put made, start date, so then you have the start date and all that. So, good question. That's a great question.
I would definitely put that start date in there, just because I want that person to say, wow, it took like 10 years to make that thing.
There's 2 ways to look at it. Yes, it took 10 years, or, oh, it took 10 years. That person's slow. So, it just depends. And You know, it's all up to you how you want to put it, but as long as you put some kind of date on there that refers to when you made it, started it, whatever. So, back to how
People
to make.
people want to see examples.
Okay, well, all right. I'm just going over. Oh, he's getting ahead of himself.
I'm just telling what the people want.
The people want. The peeps want. So we had the labels that are printed on the computer. We have embroidery labels. We have hand printed labels, which is most of the time what I do, and I'm going to do some today to show you how to do them. We also have, if you look at this, which I posted earlier, come down here, honey. This particular label.
Wait, hold on. Wait, one more time again. This is a great pattern. What's this called?
This is called Indian Summer.
Right.
And one lucky winner will win the PDF of this.
How do you win?
You need to share to one of your favorite groups. You need to like us, and you need to Tilly's eating fabric.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And you need to comment. Worse than
We're not telling people to eat fabric. No,
don't eat fabric. Okay, so let me show you what I put on my label. I put the name of the pattern. Why? Because then in 10 years, I can look at it, which it's over 10 years since I made it. I can look at it and say, okay, what was the name of that pattern again? This I did specifically because I design patterns, and I want to make sure that I always know, or anybody who looks at it knows the name of the pattern.
Who's Monique Dillard?
Well, that was my previous name. I knew I was going to get a compound ladies, but it was made when I was married before, so you can't change that. This was my previous name. Now, of course, I would put Jacobs, but anyway, so I put made by. Because this was not given to anybody, I did not put given to on the occasion of, because it's my quilt, so I didn't do it. But I do have a record of it was made by. Then I put where it was made and then the date. So that gives you a little bit of information. Now, how did I get this on? Well, this handy dandy little thing is a stamp. So you can use stamps as well. So this one I got specifically made for my company, and that way I don't have to draw all this out. Now, when you use stamps, one of the things that you want to make sure is that you use ink that is made for fabric, so it doesn't fade or it doesn't wash out. So that's another thing you have to be careful of. So this is a stamp you can make. I have a bunch of different stamps, and I don't know what I did with them, but you could do a lot of different stamps. Doing this, you don't have to get a specific one made for you. If you want to get a specific one made, that would be awesome. That would be so much easier than having to write it out. But it's really up to you. So that's another way to do it. Another way to do it is I have these books, and they're called Create Your Own Quilt Labels. They're very cool. They're by Kim Turbuck, and I have a bunch of them here. And what I like about them is they give you a design. So you can take any of the designs and you can trace them out and color them in with whatever colors you want to do. So if I was doing let's see if I can find a wedding one or something like that.
Keep on sharing, everybody.
Yep, keep sharing. Oh, here's a cute little baby one that you could use if you wanted to. And you don't even have to do the whole thing. If you like these little stars, you could just even do stars all the way around. You don't have to use all the stuff that she has. But this really gives you a good jumping off from. You can start using these and make a bunch of different things. She also gives you some border ideas, some little hearts, all that fun stuff. So, and she also tells you how to do it. So if you're interested, these you can get probably on Amazon or any kind of bookstore. I don't know if they're still available at the quilt stores, just because they are quite old.
Well,
wanna
C&T
see what-
Publishing, so
Yeah,
they're
they
still
might
around.
still be. And my guess is they probably still are. This is 2002.
Oh, jeez.
She made that, so. But people are always making labels and doing stuff, and she really has some really cute little drawings that you can use for it. And then she gives you some examples on how to color and tells you how to color. So that's the next thing. What do you use to color or to write on your label? Well, as you can see, I have a bunch of different ones. These are called Pigma pens, and they are made for fabric so they won't fade and wash out. There are different thicknesses. I tend to like the thinner thickness, but you can really get different thicknesses. You can get any color that you want. They're just really nice to have, and I use them a lot. So I'm going to show you.
Where can you get some of those?
Those you can get at quilt stores. Quilt
And
stores.
they're called
carry 'em.
what, Micron?
Yes, they're called Pigma pens.
Pigma pens.
Micron. Yep.
All right.
Yep. And there's comes in tons of different colors. It's a little dust there. Okay, so now I decide, okay, I'm gonna make my label. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna do it really easy tonight because I want to show you how to do it. But I'm just gonna write the information down, and then I'll show you how to put it on.
Would a Sharpie work?
You know, I don't know that I would use a Sharpie. You can try it and test it on a piece of fabric to see if it would stay. It might stay. I have used Sharpies.
Yeah, I think Sharpies would kind of give away though a little bit too after time if you washed it.
Yeah,
it would probably fade out. So
it might. You could try it. I know that the
people do see a Sharpie in your box.
I know. Should have taken those Sharpies out. It would be cool because Sharpies have so many different colors. I use Sharpies for a lot of things. Labeling, all my rulers are great for Sharpies, all that stuff. So
I would stick with the definitely with the
yeah, I would do the Pigma pens.
Pigma pens for sure.
Yeah. So they're just all my pens and pencils and stuff in my little box. So Sharpies can include in there. But all right. So how do I do this? The first thing you're going to need is you're going to need some freezer paper. Okay. Or you can use fusible webbing. Depends on if you want to hand sew it, machine sew it, or if you want the label to be quilted on as when it's quilted. This is a little more difficult because if you quilt it as it's being quilted, the machine quilter or you have to be careful on placement of it. So that's where the problem is. I always put my label on after, but that's a matter of preference. Whatever you feel comfortable with, that's up to you. What I will do first is I will use my paper rotary cutter, and I will cut a 4x5 inch rectangle of my freezer paper. Now, you can make it any size you want. I just use 4x5 because I find it a nice space to be able to write in and not be too crowded. So that's why I use that. Then what I do is I take the shiny side of my freezer paper and I adhere it to the wrong side of my fabric. Now with this is a solid, so I don't worry about it. You can do either side. But another thing to keep in mind when you're doing your labels, you want to be able to see the writing, so you don't want something that's a super busy fabric or too dark, because if you get those, you're not going to be able to see your writing. So I always try to use something that's a little lighter, more solid looking, so that I have that option of being able to write. Okay, so then what I'll do is I'll go to my awesome Aliso iron. I just keep looking at Tilly eating all the fabric. Dogs. And she's smiling about it too. Right. So I'm going to press that on. Okay. And then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to cut it out. And I'm going to cut it using my rotary cutter. And when I cut it, I'm just going to go just a hair over a 1/4 inch. You can do exact 1/4 inch. Whatever if you do any kind of needle turn, you can do whatever you feel comfortable. I like to go just a little bigger, so I'm not too worried about making too much of a turn because it's all straight. Another thing you can do is do a pillow, which you would take your 2 fabrics, sew around, leave an opening, flip it out, and then have the right sides out, and you can write on there. Why do I use freezer paper? That's a good question. The reason is that it's so much easier to write on fabric when you have a stabilizer underneath. So if you do a fusible, keep the paper on the back and write on it, and then take the paper off and fuse it on. That way you have that nice stabilizer. Okay, so I have my label ready to write on. What I like to do next, and this is something that I learned by trial and error, is I like to write it out or print it out or stamp it out or do whatever you want on a piece of paper that's the same size as my piece. And it doesn't have to be exact because you're going to leave some area, but so I'm going to do something like this and like that. Okay. And if you want to use the lines, you can use the lines to help you write, keep nice and straight. But this is just going to help me so I know for placement. Because oftentimes I'll be writing and then I'll start losing space. And I'll be like, oh, I should have started the next line. But if you have it already written out, then you know when you go to your label, oh yeah, I'm going to start a little farther in and be able to make it work better. Another thing that you can do is if you want to trace, is this is where the Sharpie comes in. See, there is a reason I have Sharpies in my box. Is you just want to make sure that you do not write too much. Just write on here, print on here, whatever you want to do, write on there. And then you can lay this on and you can see through your fabric and write, just trace it.
That's a great idea.
So that's another way to do it.
Plus the lines will keep you straight.
Yes.
Yes, Heather, you are right. Lines are always a good thing.
We like lines. We like straight lines. So, hi Heather. So, this is what I will do. And usually I actually use just plain paper, but I'm liking the lines here. So, okay, so I'm just going to put, the first thing is 2, and I will put...
Tilly.
Tilly, let's do Tilly. She's like, I love quilts. All right. Then I can already see, unless I put her last name, let's do that. And then I'll put... Made with love by, and then put my name, and I'm not going to put any reason why. I could put because I love you, but I'm running out of room, I can see already. So then I'm going to put the date. So you could put the month, but I'm just going to put 2019, and then I'm going to put where it's made, Loves Park, Illinois. Another thing that I like to do, especially because I have family in Canada, and I will put USA here. That way, if it goes somewhere, like the one that went to France, they'll know it's the US. So that's another thing you can put on too if you think your quilt is going to travel. Again, it's a preference, what you want to do. So then what I'll do is I'm just going to lay this right along here. I'm going to take my Pigma pen and decide what color I want. And oftentimes I will use colors that are in the quilt. So if I made Tilly a green quilt, I'll use some greens. If it's blue, I'll use blue. If it's black, that's easy. You just use the black. So you just do that. So now what you can do is just trace what you wrote. And another thing you could also do is print it off on the computer. If, like I said, if your
that's a good idea too.
Your printing is not so great, you can do that. And then continue there. So then I would go ahead and finish that off. Okay.
That pigment pen works really good.
Yeah, they do. And they're meant for writing on fabric, so that they do work great. I have, like you can see, I have a whole bunch of different colors. So then I would finish that. And then I'm not going to adhere it to anything, but I wanted to show you how we do that. Tilly doesn't get a quilt today. She's in my way. She's standing right behind me. Okay. So now what I'm going to do after I've all written out, and this is an important step, is you take it over. See, there you go, straighten away. I'm going to take it over to the iron and I'm going to set it. Why do I do that? You want to set that ink to make sure that it stays on there. So I just take it and I lay it on there for 5 to 10 seconds just to make sure it's nice and set. Then another thing that I do before I take my freezer paper off, I'm not going to take my freezer paper off until I'm almost done, is I will use my iron and I will press it, my seam in. That way I don't have to really needle turn. I can just, I can just go ahead and put it on the back of my quilt and pin it in place and not having to worry about the needle turn. Keep getting my fingers.
Careful when you do this, folks.
Yeah, don't do like I'm doing and burn your fingers. Hot stuff. So I will keep doing it. All right.
Nice.
Then you can also finger press it if you don't want to burn your fingers like I just did. Let's just go ahead and finger press it. All right, so the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take your quilt, and I'm gonna use this little example, is you're going to put it on the bottom right corner on the back. And this is where then I will go ahead and pin it in place. You can take the freezer paper out now, or if you want to leave it in, go ahead and leave it in. It's up to you, whatever you feel comfortable. I would probably take it out because it's easier to hand applique with it out. But really, again, preference. Then I would pin it in place, and then I would hand sew all the way around it. Before you finish it up, don't forget to take your freezer paper out, because you do want your freezer paper out of there. So, like I said, I could go ahead and do that and sew it on up. And then you've got a label for your quilt. So it takes a little bit, but it's a really important step, and it's great for you because it gives you a sense of pride that you finished it. It's almost like, I'm done my quilt, and now I've got a label showing how much work and love I've put into it.
Placement of the tag, is the right corner traditional?
Yes. Yeah. And it seems to be that's where everybody puts it. Again, up to you. It just seems like whenever I've seen a label, it's always been on the bottom right corner. But you can put wherever you want. I've seen labels in the middle of the back. I've seen labels pieced in a quilt backing, so they put it right in the center. It looks really cool and have some piecing around it. So I guess the biggest thing is use your imagination, and if you don't want to do all that work, buy a stamp, print it off on your computer, embroider it, do whatever you want.
What is a traditional label size?
That I don't know. I just use this size 4x5. You can make them as big as you want. I've seen them as big as an 8.5 by 11 because they put a poem and put different things on for somebody, and it's just a little more elaborate. So really, it doesn't matter as long as there's some information on
Leanne
it.
says also you can put it where there's a boo-boo to hide.
There you go. You could do that too. Thanks, Leanne. So, hopefully you guys learned some information and are going to be putting labels on all your quilts from now on. I know I am going to be doing that a lot more than I have been. And I just think it's such an important thing, and it really finishes the quilt. And I love looking at labels and seeing who made it, when it was made, where it was made, and just as a really good history of your quilt that you've spent all that time doing. So, all right. So, what do we need to do? I'm getting the head shake, so I'm doing it right. You need to share with one of your quilting groups. You need to like us, and you need to say hello, and
invite friends to like us too.
And invite friends. And I need to thank you guys for watching us. We really do enjoy this, and we hope that you will continue watching us. And don't forget, I'm going to be giving the free pattern to one lucky person, Indian Summer. And if you're interested in the Fruit Slices quilt, this is on my blueprint, and just look under my name, Monique Jacobs. And this pattern is on opengatequilts.com. And I think that's all of the instructions I'm giving you tonight. I'm like so bossy. I need you to do this. We just really appreciate you guys watching this. Thank you so much for doing that. And oh, I forgot to say, next week we will not be here. So we will be back in 2 weeks. So we're going to be off next week, which is actually the 4th.
It's the 4th of July.
So it's a holiday, yeah.
All right.
So we're not going to be here. We'll be back the following week, and I'm hoping to at least share one of my big surprises then. I'm waiting to get the go-ahead from somebody, so we'll let you know on that. But hopefully we'll be able to do that, and we'll
maybe a certain calendar.
Yeah, see, he spills the beans all the time. So, well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Quilt by Enjoy.